how do we handle spatial drift by creating spatial anchors? Let's create a new scene. Let's call it just simple anchors. Let's go take a look at our XR origin here. And let's tune PICO to make sure you have the anchor option enabled here. This allows you to do spatial calibration, spatial anchors, and then the camera offset, let's set that to 0. If it is higher than 0, you're gonna have issues where the spatial calibration, bringing that data back into Unity, will be an offset too high, too low, be an issue for you. All right, let's create a new script called AnchorManager. And in our AnchorManager here, we're going to be allowing you to, when we press the grip button, we want to see the anchor so you have an idea of what the angle, the direction the anchor will be placed. And when you let go, we're going to actually instantiate the anchor prefab or whatever prefab you want. For now, we'll just do an anchor prefab. Prefab. Go ahead and save this. And then let's create a new object here and just reset it to 0, 0, and it's called our anchor prefab. Usually in my prefabs, I like to have an empty game object and create everything underneath. And this works really well for spatial anchors and spatial calibration. So do right click, cube, center here, and let's set this to 0.02. And don't mind the white line, that's our line render for now. So the cube, let's duplicate it, move it back to the center, and let's just create a general directions, like a little lines or rectangles coming out of our cube. So just give you a sense of direction, which way it's kind of forward facing. And the forward would be our Z direction. So position be about 2, scale 0.2.24. You can actually start rotating these numbers across. So Z here, and this will be 4, that'll be 2, and this will be 2, and that'll be 0. And we're going to do the same thing and just move it one over. So Y is up, that's going to be the green direction. The X is our red direction. 2 and then 0.2. Let's give these some color so you have an idea of which direction these anchors are actually facing. This will help a lot more as you place different things so we know what direction things are facing. This will help a lot with the spatial calibration later on. So blue is forward, that's our Z direction, Y is up and down, and X is our red direction. Great. Okay. Now we want to, of course, save it as a prefab. And we're going to set it inside our right controller. So this will be our preview. So when we press the grip button from our right hand, we're actually going to turn this on so we actually see the positioning of where this will actually potentially be. Then when we let go of our grip button, we're going to turn off the anchor preview and then instantiate a brand new anchor preview at that location, or anchor prefab. Positioning, we don't want it too far, so like 0.15, 0.2 around there, anywhere is fine here. Let's call it rename anchor preview. And then go to anchor manager here, anchor preview, and then make sure from our preview folder, prefab folder, and our anchor prefab. Don't get those mixed up. Anchor preview and anchor prefab is different. One is to give an idea of where we actually be placed in the world view. The anchor prefab is what you are gonna instantiate when we let go of the grip button. So we're gonna be using our grip button. So we're gonna go back to our input systems. So private input action reference, and we're going to be using our grip. Here we have the right grip here. So for the right grip, we want to create two methods here. We're going to call it void anchor preview. We're gonna And the next one called private void. We're going to create our anchor. We're going to do anchor preview.set true here. Set this to false. All right. And in order to create our anchor, we're going to actually call PXR mixed reality dot create anchor entity. And we're going to set it to anchor preview dot transform dot position. And the same rotation as our anchor preview. And this here is going to call, this will trigger the anchor entity created event. And what is that event? An interface, so the anchor entity created of a type PXR event. Enter entity created result. So this will call the event and this will subscribe to that event and then we'll do something on that event. If this is successful, it means we created our spatial anchor here. And now that we've created a spatial anchor, we actually want to add our anchor prefab to that location. So if result goes to pixar.yes, great, that means it worked. Game object anchor that equals instantiate. Here we want to instantiate anchor prefab, not anchor preview. Okay. So what we want to do is pixar mixed reality dot get anchor pose and then result anchor handle position object form position form. So once we create an object here, the spatial anchor will actually have a position and you can grab that position from using the handle from the anchor. Each time we create an anchor, it's going to have a handle that's recorded and we can use that handle to find the position and orientation. We can also use this to actually handle spatial drift as well by checking it every few frames or every second, half a second. We can check, see if it's actually drifted or not, then reset the position. So this is how we're going to handle the drifting. And now we want to the anchors to handle spatial drift. Every time we create an anchor, let's add it to our anchor map. Map.add the result handle this anchor object. Right. Now we want to handle drift as well. Where do we handle drift? Forward, fix, and fixed update. Map bigger than 0 equals to 0 and return. We don't need to handle special drift. There's no anchors here. For each, all right. So for each of our handle pair and map, we want to do something. So provide handle equal to handle pair dot key our anchor drift equals to handle pair dot value. And error check if handles equal to you. Then we know this is an error. Debug.log error. Move on. Otherwise, same thing what we did earlier. Get anchor close using the handle out bar rotation out bar position. And just set that rotation position. So this will handle spatial drift. If our anchor map is populated, we're just going to go through every so often and just check if these actually move. If they have moved, always reset the position that we recorded earlier. Now, this will be checking every frame that might be actually too fast. So what we can do is we can actually put a timer on here. Field, private, float, max, if delay equals to, let's see, 0.5. So let's see, a half second. That should be fine. Yeah. We can just set it here. If there is populated an anchor map, let's add to it. So current drift delay plus equals to time dot delta time. If the current drift delay is bigger than the max drift delay here, which is a half a second, set the current to 0, and then we can start handling artificial drift here. Great. So if it's empty, we move on. If it is, we can do our timer. And every half second or so, we're gonna reset our timer and then just go through every single anchor that we have in our anchor map and then just reset the position to handle for spatial drift. Right. And where are we going to be using the show anchor previews here? In our input action right grip here. So do that. forward on right grip, pressed, and then here, right grip. Creating separate ones here just in case I want to add more things to it. I want these to do exactly what they do. I want this to do exactly what it is. This is on press, this is on release. So action started, pause, and for this to work with that event, we're going to need input action dot callback context callback, copy and paste here. We want to show the preview. Oops. Show the preview here. When we press it, we want to show it. And when we let go, we're going to create our anchor. So, and then for the subscribe to the event, make sure you have both of them. Have the correct callback so you can subscribe to the event. And now let's subscribe to these events. Do it on enable. On disable here, we have 3 events. So right grip on action dot started equals on right grip and right grip dot action dot canceled. So now that means we're actually releasing the grip button. And then in our Pixar manager, we have another event here. This one is the event AnchorEntityCreated. AnchorEntityCreated. Anything event that we create and we subscribe to, make sure you unsubscribe to the same event. Oops. Equal minus equal. Leave it here. Let's have click 1. Okay. Next, we want to actually, let's go ahead and create the right grip in our input action map. All right, let's go back to the input action here. You're going to click on the right trigger and the input action maps here. Let's create a new action. It's called the right grip in the path here. Make sure usages and capital G grip button there. Save it and you can go through and the inspector, you can actually see the name of the action here. Call it right grip. Make sure you add it in to AnchorManager script. Okay, double checking everything. Offset to 0. Anchor is enabled. Save and let's try. Save. Field settings. Make sure you add the simple anchor. Your scenes here. And make sure your run device is correct. Then go ahead and build and run. Now we're inside the Unity app here. We can hold the grip, see our preview, then we let go, and you're able to, the anchor is able to keep the direction that it's facing, and it creates a new anchor prefab. So you can set up different things if you want to. Set up like a game where you have a scene where you're able to create like bases, walls for your game, and then come back and use those anchor positions to instantiate those walls as like barriers, as portals. Maybe do some kind of like, space game where the things are flying out of your kitchen. You can play against that. All right, go through and I can show you how I made this video where instead of the anchor prefab, we'll be instantiating a video player.